avid and casual sports fan. Now, here are your hosts, Ed E.C. Smith and Javon J. Adam.
You're live.
And welcome to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Your host Ed Smith, joined by my brother and co-host, Mr. Javon Adams, aka J Love.
Get play. It's total
You know,
facts.
it's 10 o'clock hour, so that means we hit the groove, get ready to get it on. Hey, we appreciate you hanging out with us on this beautiful 73-degree day here in Arizona at the point in time. High of 86,
Y'all, he has his
clear
phone out right
skies.
now. I swear to God, he has his phone out right now.
Hey, man, we get ready to roll into it. Listen to this, 86, 84, 88, 77 on Tuesday.
Oh,
Those are highs, bro. Those are highs. That's a beautiful thing. So, like I said, appreciate you hanging out with Easy and J, Easy Sports Talk Show,
Yes,
KUS, 1060 AM, as well as KSLX HD channel 200.7. Got you looking at us on our Facebook feed, on the Easy Sports Talk Show, and on our restream as well, man. A lot of ways to catch us right now.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Make sure you go to Easy Sports Talk, easysportstalk.com as well. That's the website. That's where you can listen to the Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast. Click on where it says Believe in the Arizona Cardinals, and then you can make sure to get it to us, get all the opinions that you want to hear from Ed and myself.
And we do have a great show ahead. A lot of things to talk about.
Hey, hold on, man. How come there's no food on the table?
No food on the table? What you
Yeah,
talking about?
I thought you might have marinated for a while, but there's crow. I thought that.
Oh,
I thought there was
well,
crow.
you know I like mine extra crispy, so it's in
the.
Hey, we're gonna get into that because
Yeah,
we got
man.
some 6 and O's to talk about,
Woo.
things like that. And
Yeah.
man, I'm telling you, it looks like we might be off a little bit on our prognostication at the start of the season.
I definitely hope I'm wrong, because if that's the case, because I said 8 and 9, that would mean a colossal collapse.
Yeah.
So we don't want that.
Here's the thing, though, bro. I mean, we are pleasantly surprised.
Yes,
And at
sir.
the beginning of the year, we can only speak on what we thought we saw,
Yes.
and we thought they were who we thought they were.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll get into that.
Yes, sir.
But great show ahead. Going to talk Cardinals. Going to talk Suns, man.
Yeah.
Basketball start and Lakers.
Do we have to talk
We're
about
gonna
that? The
talk
Suns
Lakers.
making my team fight.
Yeah, Lakers. And then at the end of the show, the 11:30 segment, we're going to have Kevin Ledger on. He's the owner of 8 of the locations out here in Arizona. We're going to talk about his great event. We're teaming up to help kind of promote and make sure that all the veterans out here in the Valley know on Veterans Day, November 11th, all the Meineke stores will be opening at 7:30, closing at 6. You can come in for a free standard oil change. Just show your proof of, and this is for active and veteran military service. Show your proof of service. You can get a free standard oil change. We're going to talk about another foundation that Kevin is supporting as well. So looking forward to having Kevin on at 11:30.
Yes, sir.
In the meantime, as we do in the first segment, after Sunday of last week, we kind of recap the NFL week that was. So week 6, a couple takeaways, and give me what I know it's going to be on your radar right here. But Seahawks go to Pittsburgh, lose 23-20. Kind of saw that one coming, but I guess Seattle played as well as they could. The thing for me is Seattle in the NFC, in a tough NFC West, falling further and further behind. Can Geno keep them afloat until Russell gets back? That's going to be a big question.
Yeah.
Ravens 34-6 against the Chargers. This is after the Chargers were kind of thumping everybody and making everybody think, hey, we're here. And the Ravens said, hey, come here, let me tell you something. 34-6, and that was a mollywop. That was one of those.
What's interesting about that is I can distinctly remember the week before that people were talking about this quarterback for the Chargers, how he is just he is so prepared, the second coming of greatness, and all this type of stuff. And then after the game, they said, maybe he's not as great as we thought he was. Are you serious?
Bro, it's a week-to-week thing, bro, in the NFL.
Oh,
we can go through examples of that, but yeah, I was really impressed with what the Ravens did, and especially because the Chargers were building that steam, and like you say, Herbert was the next coming, and man, they got showed the door, bro. They got boat race, as they call it. Bills 31, Titans 34, and this was on that last second slip, 4th and 1. Buffalo could have tied the game, but they were going for the win. And I hate those calls though. Sometimes that quarterback sneaking, he got stuffed, and then it was so anticlimactic. It was like he got stuffed, game's over. It was like, wait a minute. I was like, what just happened? So,
man.
and I'll throw this question at you, and I'll get to the last one like this. But Titans at home look pretty good. They're at 4-2.
Yeah.
Does that give us a little more credibility
I
in
think
terms
so.
of our first week 1 win against them? It's like, okay,
I know you have it on the show notes here, but that's one of the things that I thought of, because what you don't want, even though it's not as if they're going to fall in the rankings, so to speak, and that'll matter at the end of the season. But what it does is just means that, yes, you beat a quality team.
Mm-hmm.
You beat a quality team. So if nothing else, as you reflect back on that as a team, it should be able to give you greater confidence or belief in yourself.
Exactly. And then I know this is the one you wanted to get out. The Raiders were over to Denver after everything they experienced, obviously with the Gruden issue and stuff like that. He leaves. And this was one of those letdown games where, you got a special teams coach taking over, the team kind of in disarray. Everybody kind of like, man, what are we going to do? They went over there and they impressively won in Denver. And we know Denver is now fallen 4 in a row because they lost on Thursday Night Football. But still, to go into Denver, 34-24, very impressive win. And I can only imagine how high the emotions were within the hall of the locker room, pregame and then after the game. I'm sure a lot of dudes, man, hugging and basically, like us against the world moving forward, even though none of them really did anything wrong. What are you rolling your eyes at?
Us against the world. It's not.
I'm talking about your team, though.
I know, but I'm still trying to. I'm on the fence about whether I want to fire that team, because I'm still trying to pay attention to what the owner says or does not say. Because it kind of it reveals a little bit about. Again, I mentioned this last week. These teams, they don't care about you. They don't care about you. They care that you are filling the seats in the stands and buying the merchandise. They don't care about you, the fan, really. And so they're not necessarily not all of these owners. And this it's not a broad sweeping generalization. They're not all people that you would want to have a beer with, or to be able to sit and pick their minds about all these great things that they've done in terms of humanitarian, all this stuff. So I'm glad my team won, but I mean, this me against the world, because you try to make up these things to try to motivate yourself. Our coach is going, they fired our coach. Even though he's super emails, but we want to make sure that it's us against the league, it's us against the world. Even though he's the one that made these poor decisions, but it's us against the world. It's that.
Well, as a former player, I've been in locker rooms where controversy, not to this degree, but I've been in locker rooms where there's been a little controversy, and within the how many corners of your locker room, it does have to be like a silo almost, where, and I'm not saying you have to manufacture motivation, but sometimes it is a situation where, hey, man, look, everybody's pointing the finger at us, like, and we got to come out of this. The only way we're going to do it is we got each other's back. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
You need to get 2 responses. You can get a bullet. You can get a bullet to the head, or you can get a, So I was actually impressed because I know how easy it is to become unfocused. Okay, let me throw a name out there, Eugene Robinson. I know how easy it is to become unfocused. Not just, you're like, you would think, okay, well, forget him, forget that, man, everything can come unraveled. And that's a totally different situation because that was a Super Bowl and stuff like that. But this team has however many, 10 games to go in the season, 11 games to go. Yeah. It would be very easy for them to fracture. And this, the three, they started out 3-0? No, 3-1, whatever they are. They're 4-2 right now. Right. Man, this whole season could have went in a whole different direction. So I was actually impressed to see them do what they did. Yeah. And we're not going to get into too much this show, but there are some, I guess they're looking into these emails and stuff a little deeper. I think the government has actually made some inquiries to the NFL about, hey, we don't like what you're doing with that investigation.
So the player goes up to the woman and says, I think your man is messing around. I wouldn't do you like that. I'm just saying you might want to look into that. And then he goes off and hits up all kinds of 5, 6, 7 different arguments. So the government trying to tell me that the NFL does some shady stuff. All right, I feel you.
Let's just say this much. It's gonna get a whole.
Yeah, it's gonna get ugly. You can't tell me that we're not fools. Mm-hmm. We know that. And then I saw something that said that there was more than just Gruden's comments. I saw something, and we already know that. This one.
And from what I heard, even he's like getting his legalese together because basically, why am I being singled out? That kind of thing.
30.
For me, if I'm you, John, you need to go somewhere and just.
I know I said what I said. Just bigger than Nino Brown. Just bigger than Nino Brown.
Hey, we're going to take this break. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy as day on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060 as well as KSOX, AC Channel 200.7. Appreciate you hanging out. Sports, restream, Facebook, everywhere we're at. Hope you have a good start to your weekend, folks. Be back after these messages.
You can.
It's bigger than Nino Brown.
Bigger than Nino Brown.
Clear.
Thanks, Aaron.
We'll do what's best for the team. We'll do what's best for you.
The Rich Eisen Show coming to you weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. here on KPUS AM 1060 and KPUS1060.com.
Got a big painting project you've been putting off?
Hey, welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Before I throw it over to Jay, if you want to give us a call, just want to remind you, you can give us a call on the Easy Sports Talk hotline, 602-260-1060. If you want to tweet at us at the Easy Sports, Ed Smith Speaks, and Javon Love, and that's Love with LUV, and Aaron and Corey are behind the glass for us today. So we'll be talking to Corey in a little bit as well. But this segment right here is brought to you by
Malone Music, family owned and operated for over 75 years, over 50,000 square foot showroom and repair facility, 18 instrument rental depots across the valley. Visit milanomusic.com. That's MILANO music.com, or call them at 480-827-1111.
And before we jump back on here this segment, we had our first advertisement promo for the upcoming event, which is November 11th. We talked about it. Make sure you listen to that. If you know a veteran, if you're not a veteran, if you know someone who's in the military, just let them know about this great service that's being provided. So you don't, like I said, doesn't have to be you. Reach out to, what you always say, Jay, a friend to tell a friend. Yeah, reach out to all your veterans or active military so they can get the money on November 11th. So Thursday night football kicked off. Broncos 14, Browns 17. Browns was our prior opponent. And that game on Thursday was actually really entertaining. Obviously, we're not going to dive too much into that one, but it was really an entertaining game. Browns tried to bounce back, which they did after that mollywhopping that we put on them, that thumping that we put on them, and Jay, I now believe in the Arizona Cardinals.
We had to get off. We had to pledge our allegiance on the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, to go into Cleveland and win with all the things stacked against you, your head coach not there.
Yeah.
Chandler Jones, not there.
Yeah.
Hudson, your starting center, not there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all these
things.
He's
on the injured reserve now.
On the injured reserve now. All these things that the 5-0 at time, 5-0 Cardinals could have used as an excuse. And they go, and this other team, the Browns, everybody, a lot of people picked them preseason as AFC contender to go to the Super Bowl. So they got that two-headed running attack. They were down one, obviously, with Chubb being out, but you still had Baker Mayfield, you had Hunt, and you had that attack that was just going to get at us. And man, we went 37-14. So once again, it wasn't one of those wins where we just went over there and eked it out. Yeah. We went over there and dominated this game. Didn't ask a whole bunch of Murray's number of attempts, 20 for 30, 229, 4 touches, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah.
Protecting the ball, no turnovers on the road. We rushed the ball 37 times, 144 yards. 7 different receivers called a pass.
Yeah. I'm
liking that. Yeah. Our defense, 5 sacks, we had an interception. Alfred getting it, time of possession. Remember at the end of last week, I was like, if we go over there and they get the ball, they're going to run it. At time of possession, we probably going to be standing on the sideline. Just 34 minutes and 39 seconds. And then last but not least, 5 penalties for 45 yards.
Yeah. You don't hurt yourself.
Where do you go from there? I mean, as far as being a doubter, where do you go?
Yeah. I think when you look at the tight end position with Ertz coming on, I need to ask your neighbor. Have you talked to your neighbor?
He actually sent me. It's funny you bring Matt up. He actually sent me a message yesterday because his big thing, he's an all Philly fan extraordinaire, and he actually asked me about what my thoughts on Ben Simmons. So I said to him, "Hey, might have to have you come on the show next week." So that along with the Ertz trade and things like that. But yeah, he reached out to me, so we're gonna have to have Matt on.
Yeah, it's setting up to be. You never know how a team is going to respond to adversity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how you say, what do you mean adversity? They're 6-0. Adversity meaning, but especially last week, what happened with all of the reasons. These were reasons. They could be excuses or whatever you want to call it.
The reason
that can make a team say, "Hey, it just wasn't in the cards for us this week. There's nothing wrong with 5-1. Holla at me when you guys are 5-1." That type of thing. But no, they persevered. They overcame all that stuff, and I think that's the makeup of a good coaching and good players, because the coaches are only as good as the players that they have. So yeah, very impressive.
There you go. And you bring up the coaching for them to go over without Kingsbury, and I heard that he was so twisted he couldn't watch the game because he wasn't there. I'm thinking to myself, man, I know you get to see the film later, but I'm trying to figure out, how do you spend that day if you're not watching your own team? Prepping for what?
Prepping for the Texans.
Okay. Well, at some point, I would have assumed he was sitting there just like all of us, just watching it,
That would be, I get it. I've heard both sides of the argument this week on that one, but it would just pain me because especially if you're used to being in control, that you can't control what's going on. So if let's say there was a play that ended up getting negative yards, why did they you just the same way that I used to live and die with every Lakers basket. If they went up 4, then I was elated, and if they went down by 2, then I was walk out of the room or change the channel or figure out maybe sit in a different place. It will probably be maddening to watch that and have no control over how the flow of the game.
Yeah, I guess lightly maybe in times I've been in that position when maybe I was back for injury or something like that, but I couldn't play. But to be the head coach and not be interested enough for that, maybe like I said, you're saying maybe it was just too gut wrenching to. But I would have just been glued to it. There's no way I could let my team go on the road and not take a peek. But the point you brought up about coaching, and we're going to do something that maybe we got time in the 4th segment before the top of the hour. I put in a little thing where we maybe give our grading of what we've seen so far. Because right now there's 18 weeks, including your bye week. So instead of only we do quarters, so I thought we'd do 3rd grades this year. We're 3rd of the way through the season. Yeah. But coaching is a big thing. When your head guy's not there, it's so easy. It's almost like I'm a substitute teacher, bro. Substitute teacher walks in the room. You walk in the first thing, you're like, "Where's Mrs. Simpson?" "Oh, she's sick today." You're like, "Oh yeah, they off."
I was that substitute teacher, and they look at me, and I say, "Look, man, I know you're not sitting where you're supposed to be sitting, dog." And they all look at each other. I don't care about that, man. I just care about getting through this day. Getting this lesson off. So let's get it going.
You're sitting there picking a Tina during the day, nobody's listening, And it's very easy in this situation because Cliff's coming back. But for some of the players, it would have been really easy to be like, Cliff's not here. I'm not necessarily going to, play hooky today, but, prep might not be all that it normally is, different things. But they were so buttoned up, and you can tell because, like I said, 5 penalties on the day, 0 turnovers on the day. Okay. That's a team that's locked in. Regardless of who was calling the signals and things like that. And that was the other thing. I thought Vance did a great job. Once they smelled blood in the water, they got after Baker. And this was without, like I said, Chandler Jones and different pieces. Yeah. They got after Baker to the point where he injured that shoulder again. And they just, obviously he was out for this week's game. But, man, they put it on him. There was no lack of fire in this team this week.
I'm saying this and all with not trying to be tongue in cheek with it, but could it be some of the leadership that's been brought on board with the team and the veteran leadership and one of those being like a JJ Watt? I don't know. He had a he had a forced fumble, right? He had a forced fumble. Maybe just some of his intensity, even if it's maybe a little me type of look at me as I'm trying to rally y'all up. But it could be still that energy.
I'll be honest, he's been a lot quieter, and maybe because like the overall production isn't there, but he's been quieter, which I like. I actually like the fact that maybe he's leading just by being out there, and it doesn't have to be like hidden camera and stuff like that, or at least that he found a stream out here that had rejuvenating purposes, and he drove all the way up to Sedona to get the mineral water and get that type of thing. So
is he gonna
purify himself late to Minnetonka? But he's quietly, and I like quietly, just been doing his business. Yeah. And like I said, maybe because he isn't the focal point of the team, And even think about this: even Chandler Jones over the last few weeks has been very quiet. Yeah. He had that 5-sack day, and we haven't heard a whole bunch from him since. Yeah. Which another thing I'd like to point out. That defense, man, you look at the number of people that made tackles.
Is it almost like a no-name defense, even though we know that there are some names?
There's some names, Buddha and a couple,
But it's more of a collective effort from the defense as opposed to looking at one person to always rise above.
Well, there was a total of 60 tackles, right? There's a whole lot of dudes with 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. And that means that guys are out there contributing.
Right.
And the list is so long. There's some dudes on this team that made tackles. I didn't even know we had them on the team.
Right.
So when the list is that long, that means everybody's getting involved, and that's what's impressive to me so far. So with that being said, we are now believers, full true believers. So we believe, but we just believed a different thing at first. And now we
Oh,
are
my gosh.
firm believers that
Yes.
the Cardinals are for real.
Yes.
And we're going to take a look at this next game coming up. The proverbial trap game against Houston could be.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be.
Right.
We'll talk about that when we get back.
Yeah. Make sure you go to easysportstalk.com, easysportstalk.com, click on the Believe in the Arizona Cardinals tab, and then you'll be able to stream the latest episode.
Yes, sir. So we appreciate you joining us on this beautiful currently 73 degree day, getting up to about 86 with mild cloudiness out there here in the Arizona area. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy and Jay on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KUS at 60, as well as KSLX HD Channel 2, 100.7, and our Facebook and Restream as well. So hope you have a good start to your weekend so far, folks. We'll be back after this to talk about the Houston matchup coming up.
Yes, indeed. You can.
Clear?
Mm-hmm.
1 minute or your life.
Oh yeah, that just lets us know even Aaron ain't perfect. It's all good. It's all good.
It's a good groove right here, man. Like back in the day, this is music. When music was really music too, boy.
Yeah.
Our fathers and our mothers and fathers, they grew up in an era man.
Yeah.
It was, I'm not today's music. I really don't get into too much, but it's all good. Hey, welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. This segment right here is brought to you by
Colt Artisan Beverage Company, and Easy is having some of that right now. Matter of fact, one of the first to launch nitrogen-infused coffee. They offer everything from specialty coffees and a botanical infusion line of caffeine and sugar-free brewed beverages. Call Colt Coffee at 623-434-0939. Again, that's 623-434-0939, or visit coltcoffeeroaster.com for more information.
So the upcoming game this Sunday, we have the Houston Texans coming in, and this is unheard of. A 17-point spread in the NFL is more like this would be Alabama playing Mercer. The equivalent of, you don't get 17-point spreads in the NFL.
They might go
You know what? They could.
They could.
This is on paper. Yeah, on paper, this game, you got Texans at 1-5 coming over here. We're at 6-0, just coming off a big win against Cleveland on the road.
Yes.
Momentum is not just a word, but at the same time, it's like you're looking all statistics. Then we're adding a piece. Zach Ertz. So Kyle's gonna have a new toy to play with at tight end. And what I found interesting, they actually got him from Philly. As soon as they found out about trade, he actually went to Cleveland, was on the sideline, soaking everything in. And man, that's valuable. Soaking everything in. Then he had a chance to get on the plane, fly back here, sit and talk to Kyler, kind of start a relationship, stuff like that. So you got a new toy to play with and Ertz. Everything on paper says this should be we should just like take them behind the woodshed and just give it to them.
Should be 2 scoring.
Should be.
I would say at least 2 touchdowns.
The thing for me, and I saw some of the keys for the game. One, don't overlook the Texans, which I'm hoping,
yes,
because we all know
Texans are trying to lose now. I mean, right now, because it's one of those things. So you think I'm wrong?
I think they're trying to win, but they just don't have. They have no. Think about it. Tyrod Taylor was their quarterback. And that was even a stretch. And then
I think once he got
hurt,
they said, "No, we don't."
Here's the thing, though. Sometimes you can be so bad, you can play as good as you can, and you still know you're going to lose. I'm just saying.
Right.
So with what you have, you're looking. They're like, we're going to put a great game plan together. We in the back of their mind, like, well, we can keep this one close. As far as they'll never say that.
Think about that. But no, you mentioned something that I'm curious about that. Because when you were coaching because you were a tight ends coach here,
Phoenix College. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever was that ever a conversation among coaches where you got the roster to say, all right, we gonna go in there and smash these fools today or this week or whatever it is? In most games, did you go in and say, all right, this is gonna be a Herculean task. Let's try to see what we can do to keep it close. Maybe the ball bounces our way a little bit. Maybe we hit it. Maybe we not.
At the junior college level, I think all the talent was pretty much equally distributed. So that, and I will say that I'll go this far. At the professional level, the coaches will remind you, and it happens all the time. Don't ever take that other team for granted. They can tell you all the time. You don't always listen, and then that's when you get the upsets and stuff like that. And I would go this far. The last time I had that mentality, like, man, we're gonna smash these dudes. I remember being in high school playing basketball. You walk into the gym and you're like, oh man, we're going to get to that. That was the last time, because like I said, as a professional athlete, you're only one play away from getting your neck shoved into your, back in, so you look across and you take a dude lightly. And there have been times when I've been out to you manhandle a dude, and all of a sudden he gets the best of you and it looks pretty bad. So you always want to be on your P's and Q's there.
Right.
At the professional level, there's no such thing. Like I said, you got to remember everybody. I used to love how people would, like joke about, man, like especially guys in the NBA, because everybody thinks they're a baller, right?
Yeah.
Look at an NBA player, man, I would dust that dude. And like, you got to remember, he's the top 1%. There are no slouches. Now, I will say this much. I'm sorry. Your boy for the Lakers, the little dude with the headband.
He's on the Bulls.
Yeah, he's on the Bulls. Yeah. I know everybody looked at him like,
I got him. I got headband.
When you got assignment, you're like, oh, I got that dude. Because I used to go to the gym sometime when I was still playing professionally and, play basketball to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And I'd see a dude and I'd be like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
But at this level, you can't take anything lightly. So getting back to this game, how do you see that? And let's throw one other caveat before I throw this to you.
Mm-hmm.
You got J.J. Watt and Hopkins. this is both like a get back game for them. They both came from the Texans organization, probably not the greatest of feelings leaving.
Yeah.
My worry is that I hope the coaching staff doesn't want to focus on them to make them like, hey, let's make sure we get D-Hop some extra in this game and make sure we just play your normal game plan and let everything work the way it does.
I think for that reason, they're going to win. Is that not necessarily? I think that they probably have had that discussion. I think that even Hop. I think, hey, look, man, don't you don't have to worry about sending it to me over and over again, man. You're fine. Just keep doing what we're doing. You got to spread it. You got to spread it. All I care about is coming out with this W. And I think that because they are important enough, even though J.J. Watt is new, I think he's probably has become a part of the team enough to where they say, yeah, we're going to go out here and we're going to smash these fools, not only for us, but we're going to do it for them. They gave up on these dudes. We about to go and handle business. So I think that will give them a little bit more focus and avoid the rough start to that Jacksonville Jaguar game that we had. And so I think that will remedy that, if nothing else.
I can speak from experience. When you go to anytime you face your former team, most instances it's not like, because when I left like the White Sox, I was traded. I was a free agent after a few years with the Brewers, free agent after my year with the Cubs, that type of thing. So I never got one of those dudes that got cut, but I still, like, when the White Sox traded me away, I was like, okay, I'll see you. And I just remember every time I faced them, from after I got traded from A-ball all the way up to AAA, my main focus was whenever I faced them, I'm going to show you what you kind of gave up on, And I remember one of my favorite home runs, and Mike Mangel is one of my good friends. If he's listening right now, I'm sorry I'm bringing this one up. Mike left a 2-0 fastball up in the zone. We were in Nashville, I think it was, and they had this big, huge scoreboard in the shape of a guitar. I tried to knock the damn thing over. I hit that ball so hard, and it was one of them off the bats, seers. It was like, and I mean, I felt so good. And then when I faced my old team, the Brewers, my best friend, I was actually best man in his wedding, everything. Mike, I don't know why I'm blanking out, but Mike, he was groomed on the road. Man, he left a change up, and we were in Buffalo. Left a change up. Man, but those instances when I got to go back against those dudes, I don't care. It was so. I'm imagining JJ and D Hop. You don't want to go overboard, but I know they want to have their best game.
You want to be in control of your emotion, but you want it to be, if you can take that and go to the next level in terms of just the intensity, but stay in control of them.
And what you want to do is you want to do it like the magic word you just said is control. Let everything happen in flow. You don't want anything like forcing. You don't want to be forcing anything. This would be a game that, like, if Kyler wanted to, he'd be like, man, I'm trying to get you the ball like 15, 20 times. But you don't want that to be, right. If he's open 15 to 20 times, you throw on the ball, but don't be throwing it to him just because, hey, I'm trying to get D-Hop off this game. That's when things got out of whack. And then next, that team that has no reason to be in the game, all of a sudden you're in the fourth quarter, like, how'd that happen? Now you're, but tell me how you think this game goes. What do you see as far as?
I think it should be wrapped up by the end of the third quarter. I think it should be, I think what you'll see is that there'll be a lull probably around this, a lot of emotion that the team will be playing with in the first quarter. It might have a little bit of a lull in the second quarter, but I think in the third, when they come out of the
2 minutes
halftime, that they'll be there. You'll see that intensity kind of take up another level. So by the end of the third, it's just a matter of, hey, let's just not blow this 2-touchdown lead. Let's keep playing, but let's if we can try to, with the 3 or 4 minutes left, get Kyler out of the game, to be able to just get ready, because they have the short turnaround.
Short turnaround against the Packers, yeah.
Thursday game with the Packers. So.
Yeah. Well, for me, this game, I see because the thing about Houston, they come in here with absolutely no weapons. They've got, young quarterback filling in Willits or whatever his name is. It's bad when you don't know. Davis Mills. Davis Mills. That's my son chipping in, giving me that information right there. But you have, like I said, you don't even know the quarterback's name. First off, you got no weapons, running the ball. Matter of fact, our boy is coming back. Our running back from David Johnson. Yeah, it's a homecoming for him. So maybe he might try to get off on it. I don't know. But I do see this game as a blowout, 17-point spread.
Oh, they're here. Huh?
They're here, yeah.
Dang,
And then
does that
Houston-
happen all the time where you get the game before the Thursday game, you're at home and you play your Thursday game at home? They chilling.
Yeah, that's a big break for them. Yeah.
They were in Texas.
But I do see the Cardinals. They should be 7-0 after this game here. I would hope that, like you said, not cruise control, but they have control of it early. Can get Kyle out of there, maybe in the fourth quarter or something like that. You know,
Man, if they get to 7-0, dog, this
7-0.
rally is going to be
yeah.
20.
nuts.
Right.
Not as if they're not already. So
Yeah.
Get to that fever pitch.
Going to take this break. Be back after these messages, folks. Hope you're having a great weekend so far.
10.
Enjoying this beautiful Arizona weather. Only 86 degrees today, man. God, that's bad. Looks like a ride to scooter. I'm not there yet.
Come on the trails with me, man.
No.
I'm yuking.
Thanks for that info, bro. I needed that. Thank you.
Keeping sports content fresh and fun.
I give you the title. You're my research specialist.
Your life.
And welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Host Ed Smith, joined by my singing partner here, Mr. Javon Adams, aka J Love. This segment right here is brought to you by
Majestic Services. Contact Majestic Services to do all the dirty work around your home or business. Majestic Services will pressure wash your driveways, awnings, pool decks, sidewalks, receiving docks, garages, and more. Call Majestic Services at 602-614-9401. Again, 602-614-9401, or go to majesticservices.net for your free no obligation quote today.
and I'm glad we met each other when we were two mature adults, because if we met each other when we were young fools, who knows?
Who you with right now? Oh,
Oh boy!
or
I
it
tell you,
would have been ring, and Tucker want to come home.
oh boy, yeah, we'd have some fun. We I guess we're two old OGs right now, so we just do everything a little slower.
You know you're old when they start calling you Unc.
Oh
Instead of
yeah,
cousin, they say
Yeah.
Unc.
yeah.
What up, Unc? Yes, sir.
So what I thought we'd do in this segment, because we got a little basketball to talk at the start of the hour, some other things. We're gonna have Kevin Ledger on at 11:30. Remember, if you want to hear about the great event that we have what they have planned at Meineke on November 11th, make sure you tune in. Be sure to tell a friend if you know any veterans or active military service members out there for the free oil change. But this segment, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the success of the Cardinals. We already both think that the Cardinals will win this game against the Texans. Should do it handily. And this is one, again, I think style points matter. You don't want this to be a sloppy field goal game at the end, scraping. This is one of those ones where you expected to win, and we don't take any opponent for granted, but you see what the Texans have coming in here, and some of our players have an incentive. This will be a game that we kind of put it on them and get it over with, and, have a nice little, I guess what you call anything over 10 to 14-point win is an easy win. So we're looking for one of those. We'll see. But let's do some grades. The first third of the season grades, and I thought we'd start with the coaching. I'll go first. After what I saw last week on the road.
Go ahead and go first.
Okay. I was gonna let you go first next. But yeah, with the coaching staff, man, I look at what happened. Kingsbury being left behind this past week. I know it hurt his heart, but he should feel really good about the fact. It's almost like when you were the first time your mom and dad left you home by yourself, and they had nowhere. They were like, I trust you now.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, the first couple times they were like, oh God. I still think we need somebody. Even if it's not a babysitter, we need somebody to stop by just to check on y'all, make sure you ain't doing nothing you ain't supposed to be doing. And then they got to a point where it's like, sure, we're going out. We'll see you when we get back. And so for Kingsbury to be able to say, hey, you guys got this, and he didn't have no choice. But still, they went over there. For me, that showed me that his coaching staff, top to bottom, is buttoned down, because that was a buttoned down exhibit they put on. I'm giving the coaching staff an A as far as the first 6 games of the season so far. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely go with that. I think there's a lot of high marks that come with being 6-0 at the third mark of the season, and I think that's the case. I think that one of the key moves was Kugler, when they elevated him. What does he do? He's running back coach, or kind of a run game coordinator, so to speak. So by giving him that additional responsibility and elevating him, I think that's a big deal as well. So it's having the right people in the right place at the right time. It seems very easy to do, but you oftentimes I would imagine that when you hire somebody, you believe that they're the right person for the job. Sometimes, and then over time, maybe you find out that they're not, and so you have to try to replace that person with somebody who you feel is the right person for the job. And so I think the coaching staff is doing a great job. And when you look at Vance Joseph, what he's doing, and we'll get to the defensive marks in a minute, but I think he's been able to do some different things, and I think you mentioned that on the podcast this past week.
Yeah.
That because he has still the same coach, still doing that same 2-step, but y'all now, just because I'm wearing a different outfit now, because I have better players and they're buying into the system, now y'all think I'm better. I'm doing that same 2-step, man. But
So
definitely an A.
There you go. So I'll let you go first with the offense. What do you think about the offense? So far?
Offense, the fact that I would give the offense because there's that balance to it. And when I say balance, they're not. And I heard somebody mention this during the week that because they are not focusing solely on DeAndre Hopkins, because Kyler is willing to go to other receivers, so that you can't just lock in on DeAndre Hopkins. That I think that helps that offense to run smoother, to be able to run at a higher level, and because you have a running back that is able to put his go up the middle and try to get some of those hard yards. I give them an A, especially because of the way that right now Kyler Murray is playing at such a high level, and yeah, you can't knock that. You put up 34 on a team. You're not forcing it as much. We haven't seen as many of those bad interceptions, and thankfully those ill-timed interceptions haven't cost them at this point. But yeah, so
I'm with you as far as I give them an A, and primarily because they've shown some dynamic, I guess, features in this offense. Meaning, you look and you mentioned it's not all about D-Hop. They've established. Sometimes I still want more, but of a running game.
Yeah.
They've been more vertical than horizontal this year, which I think has been an added plus. The offensive line has kept him clean for the most part. And when he's had to scramble, he has. And he's made some great plays outside of the pocket. A couple times I'm thinking, okay, he's going to take off, and all of a sudden he squares up and throws one. Wow. So for me, the offense has been pleasantly, still like a little more motion and different things that we talk about.
Right.
And I give them an A because it's not something you can't even zero in and say, I'm like, well, what is this offense? I don't know. From week to week, it's been evolving. So it hasn't been the same thing each week. And for me, that's a plus.
That is, because it's hard to game
plan against.
Right.
So I would give them an A in that manner. Now, defensively, I'll go first on this one, if you don't mind. Do I have your permission?
Yes, sir. Yes, you do.
Defensively, I go B- because of and we did a lot better this past week, but we've been gassed run-wise in some instances. And I think if at some point, because I don't expect the team to go 17-0.
Yeah.
At some point, the weakness of the team might be exposed, meaning up the middle. I don't know what happened to Cleveland last week because we both thought this was like money for them. We were right in, and they
Hunt got injured.
he got hit.
Even though that
even
back,
before,
but that running back that they played on Thursday, he did a great job.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
But that has been the weakness of our defensive attack. And you brought up something what we meant that I mentioned on Thursday about Vance. He hasn't been predictable at all. There have been times when I was like, well, here comes the standard, they're going to jump in the zone or they're going to. He's been sending people from different angles, and it's been and when he smells the blood, he's been getting after it. And that's what I've been impressed with the defense. But run game wise, give him a B-. That's why we need to shore that up. But B- is still respectable.
I remember when I was coaching youth basketball, I'd have certain teams, and I'd want to be super aggressive and just lock the teams down. But in practice, you see what your team can't do.
Mm-hmm.
So you say, we're not about to do these presses in the game. We can't get it in practice. So I think that, to your point, that I think there's a lot of that where
2 minutes.
he's comfortable with doing that. For brevity, I'll give them a B.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I give them a B is because if you look at some of the ebb and flow of these games, sometimes in the first half we'll see that maybe the defense is getting gashed and run up the middle, etc. But they make those adjustments in the second half of games or in the final quarter. And when we saw the way in which the defense performed against the 49ers, even though we know that they're nicked up and they were playing a rookie quarterback, but still, when you look at some of those performances, it gives you confidence that they can continue to shore those things up. So I give them a B.
And real quick on Kyler Murray, I'll give him an A. Would almost give him an A+, but I don't want. He's not reached perfection yet in my mind, but he's very close to. Like I said, he's got a real strong grasp on his offense. Been really good with getting the ball up the field, and like I said, I think we can still see better from him. But like I said, I give him a strong A. How about yourself?
Yeah, I give him an A. I think there's still opportunities there. Some of the things that he's showing leadership-wise, at least optically, when you see some of the interactions and things, that's
great
cool.
point.
So I think that goes a long way to being able to overcome or go through adversity when you face it instead of staying within it.
And he's still young and learning too, so maybe that's the part of his game that eventually catches up to the rest of it, because then you're talking elite quarterback. You get his ability with his leadership. That's when you're getting into the elite status. So I'm going to take this break. Got the first hour in the books. We're going to come back, talk a little basketball. Suns 1-1. Somebody else is 0-2 though. God, we're going to talk about that when we come back. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend so far, folks. Easy Sports Talk. Easy and J, KDUS 1060 AM, KSLX AC Channel 101.7. Be back after this, folks.
You can. Yeah.
All right, you're live.
And welcome back, hour 2 of the Easy Sports Talk Show. Hope you're enjoying your weekend so far. Appreciate you hanging out with us on this beautiful Saturday out here in Arizona, or wherever you may be. Your weather can't be as good as ours, though. Well, at least we're going into that good period. So, hour 2, we wanted to start off by talking about our 1-1 Phoenix Suns. Before we get into the games, you and I touched on this last week, and I think it's a huge thing. The extension for the period to do the extensions ended on Monday the 18th, and we're talking about DeAndre Ayton and some of the other young men who were due for their extensions, their rookie extensions, and DeAndre got the stiff arm. They didn't want to give him the number of years, it looks like, and he did not sign, which means he will be an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year, which means that any team he can be
restricted.
I'm sorry, will be a restricted free agent at the end of this year. He can go out and look. The Suns always can match, though. And I know I just wonder how that's going to play out the season, because not only did we talk about the list of dudes that got their money in his class, the Suns also gave Mikal Bridges a $90 million deal on Monday. So he got paid. Remember I joked about last week, Oprah handing out TVs and stuff. You get a TV. And at the end, DeAndre looks under his seat and there's no ticket. It's like, wait a minute, where's my TV? You don't get one. And real quick, how do you think that plays on his psyche? Because we already know he's, what are we going to get from him this year? We're going to get the same DeAndre or we saw on the playoff stretch, or do we get regular season DeAndre with an even more messed up attitude?
If there's any, I was, even though Sean McConnell was clowning me about my Lakers and our little blow up, but he mentioned that DeAndre played soft last night, and is it, you wonder, and I've heard people say this as well, because they didn't get this extension done. Every time he plays bad, is that going to be because the contract is playing well on him, is playing in his mind, or is it, if he does well, then will that be an indication that the Suns made a mistake? I just don't think the sample size was large enough, and they just wait because you just don't know, because he played well. He wasn't a max player going into the playoffs. There's no way you were thinking that he's a max player. And sometimes teams just like the Sacramento Kings, they just get backed into it because they're so bad. We gotta pay this dude just to be able to try to at least make a good impression to the rest of the potential free agents coming up in the league, that they will take care of their players. They don't necessarily have to do this with DeAndre. They need to. You want to show me again, man. I saw it for 3 or 4 weeks. I saw that, or a couple of months. I saw that. I need to see it for a season and going into the playoffs. And I understand that he wants his money now, and I get that. The present value of money.
Is he the type of dude that might hold a grudge, though? He seems like he's kind of inward, and he this might fester in him all through the season. You get to a point, regardless of how well or bad he plays, he gets to a point where now he's a restricted free agent. Yeah. Somebody comes along and wants to ask him to go to the dance, right? Yeah. You don't spurn him, so they come and ask him, here, we want to give you this. And then the Suns, well, we can match that. He's like, I don't want your match. He could be one of those dudes. Obviously, we'll talk about Ben Simmons at a later date. He could be one of those dudes that's like, you had your chance. And he could try to force his way out.
Well, what he could do is, his options are kind of limited in terms of if he comes into restricted free agency, he decides to, hey, I'll just try to sign with the team. He tries to go again to the Lakers. The Lakers could just, Suns will just wait and say, okay, we'll pay that because you can't pay as much as us. You can't offer as much as us. So we'll just wait. Okay, we'll take that. Thank you. And so then he'll just have to wait and sign the offer, whatever the offer sheet, to be able to then the following year become an unrestricted free agent and then say peace. And even that team would be able to offer him as much as what the Phoenix Suns would be. So it's definitely possible that could happen. But think of it this way: it's and there was a couple of weeks ago I called you and I was complaining about a certain business situation and I was saying this, and you said, yeah, Jay, if you tripping on it, man, you already know. Yeah. So he could go through all this stuff and say, you know what, just to be spiteful, to say you didn't believe in me, this XYZ, I'm out. I'm gonna take less money and be out. I don't know how wise that would be, but sometimes. Okay,
let me ask you this question: what type of dude do you think he is? Because I'm thinking what I just said. I think it's gonna bug him all year, especially every time you look at like I said. I'll give you an example.
And they played Denver the first game. And Porter got his extension, so he's probably looking at
all these dudes that got there, and not just little chains. They got fat chains. They got fat pockets. The max that they can give you, their teams are like, here, come here, dog. Here, and he's sitting around, and in some instances, it's embarrassing too, because your peers are looking at you like whispering, how come he didn't get that change, dog? I got mine. Yeah. And then every city you go to, you see the dudes. Because you remember, these all all these guys got drafted together. So they were walking across the stage with each other and also in the green rooms talking. So that's their class. That's like a dude in your class.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's got fat pockets and mad rich, and
they coming up to you. I don't know why they didn't pay you.
Yeah.
Man. That's messed up. They didn't pay you, dog. I don't know, man.
So
let me go spend my money real quick. I'll holler at you, though, man.
That
I'll
could
pick up the bill this time.
Yeah, I got this one. I got this one. No, put your money ain't good here, man. Your money ain't good. Put that away.
Oh man.
So for me, I do think this festers, and I think it becomes, man, we're heading. And I saw something that the Suns weren't interested in the long term. So now this opens up the door for everybody to speculate too. You know, that maybe they're not into him long term, and that this festers. That gets, you know, the stories will be written from here all the way through the season, and like you mentioned, on a game-to-game basis, how he performs.
Yeah, and winning cures all ills. So if they continue to win, of course, there'll be those questions where, hey, you guys are 10-1. How do you feel? Do you think you'll be around here long term, DeAndre, or whatever? But
well, they did win last night against the Lakers, who are now 0-2. And I didn't catch the game. I can't even say, pretend like I did. I didn't even really see any highlights. I saw the final score. What I did see was some dudes trying to throw blows on the bench between Davis and Howard. And Howard's one of those dudes. He's one of those dudes, man. Every time I see him, I want to hit my TV. That's how much he gets on my nerves. So I can only imagine that. But it looked like Anthony Davis was the one who sparked it by going. I don't know what happened on the court. Do you know how did this start and what was the?
Apparently, it was something in terms of during a timeout or something along those lines. That Davis goes over. He shouts something at Howard.
Right, yeah.
Howard doesn't respond. Then Howard goes, and then Davis says something, goes over, stands up over him, and then just gets heated. Dwight is for as great as Dwight Howard is, and you can't deny that Dwight Howard wasn't great. Now he's not great.
Mediocre, great, yeah.
You don't think so?
I thought his game, he never evolved his game like scoring wise.
That's true.
He was a
beast, though.
Oh yeah, when he was near the
was a
basket,
beast.
but the game changed on him, and his skill set just got diminished, I think. But when he was in his prime, when the game was still under the basket, yes, he was one of the good.
But I'm surprised because he was. You remember when he was traded to the Lakers,
Mm-hmm.
and then that didn't work because Kobe crushed
Kobe,
his spirit.
yeah.
And then,
Kobe had him one. Cause you at school and the bully was messing with you. Go to the nurse office, pretend you was sick.
Yeah.
Mom, can you come pick me up?
Man.
He was.
Kobe was on the other line saying, "Hey, your mom ain't picking you up today." But so
I see you at 3:00. Oh.
when he got the opportunity, he bounced, and then he came back, and they won a championship with him, and I was surprised because again, Dwight is just. If you look at the stops where he goes, it's just Dwight seems to get under people's skin.
He's one of those dudes, though. He really is. If he was one of my team, and I had teammates that you tolerate them because they are your teammate, but even then, like sometimes when they spark stuff with the other team, you want to get on the other team and punch him in the mouth too. He's one of those dudes that is constantly like nails on the chalkboard. And like I said, I played with those dudes, and used to always hate when that dude started something and we all had to jump in and help finish it, because I'm like, then afterwards you see some dudes out at the club that night or whatever, you're like, man, I'm sorry for that BS, And I can't stand him. But he's my teammate, so I got to support him. So now, with Dwight being there, I don't know, and AD looks like the dude, we both know, AD is usually very passive. So for him to be all riled up like that, it's like, what is really going on here?
Yeah.
And I guess we'll have to wait to see what King LeBron, says about all this. But
they might let him go.
I think it was
Russell Westbrook played center when he
they were ticked off because the game was getting too late and they couldn't go hit that blue light special. That's what it was. They were mad.
I hate you.
Like, you got to eat early when you're that old, man.
Oh my goodness.
So
I think I'm not concerned yet that my team is 0-2.
Oh, it doesn't concern you. We might not get in all this.
Give me 15 games.
The Russell Westbrook experiment here it's not off to a good start.
Russell can't shoot.
He can't shoot.
I thought that they would be able to overcome it because of his motor. His motor always runs high, so he'd at least be do this. But maybe it's not good. Maybe if they had all played during preseason, that it would have being at baseball games.
He's that square peg in a round hole, man. It doesn't look like he's gonna. I'm not sure how he's gonna fit there throughout this 82 game schedule. All right. So when we come back, we'll talk a little baseball and then playoffs and everything happening here. Then at 11:30, a reminder, we're going to have Kevin Ledger on. He's the owner of 8 of the Meineke stores out here in the Valley. We'll talk to him about a great event he has coming up on Veterans Day and also a great foundation that he supports as well. They're assisting veterans in some of their financial needs. It's called Operation Homefront. So we'll talk about that as well. So appreciate you hanging out with Easy and Jay on the Easy Sports Talk Show. KDUS 1060 AM as well as KSLX HD channel 200.7. We got our restream going. We got Facebook and a lot of comments as usual. And appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Tell us where they can catch us on the website there, man.
EasySportsTalk.com. EasySportsTalk.com.
There you go. Be back after these messages, folks.
Oh, you can. David said, it's my black punk.
Monday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. It's Javon.
Thank you, Corey.
Richter Aleworks as the
enjoying your Saturday. Appreciate you hanging out with Easy and Jay. This segment right here is brought to you by. Let me just see.
Okay. Casual Sports. KSRNAZ.com. Casual Sports Radio Network is your destination for the latest updates and in-depth coverage of your Arizona sports teams, including all things Arizona Cardinals for the Bird Gang fan base. Visit KSRNAZ.com and also their YouTube channel as well for feature articles, great podcasts such as the repurposing of the Easy Sports Talk Show and Believe in the Arizona Cardinals, and also music programming such as Microphone Masters and Disposable Arts and more.
Just a reminder, Easy and Jay, we're going to be hitting the road here soon. We got a couple of remotes coming up, one of them being at E3 Cryo and Wellness Center. That's going to be on November 20th, but the one we're going to be talking about next segment, November 6th, we're going to be at the Meineke location on basically at 91st and Bell here on the west side, and we're going to be talking about the great event coming up. But in other words, we're going to be getting back out and doing some of our live remotes and things like that too.
Yes, sir.
And for any businesses that are looking to kind of partner with us, I'd love for you to give us a call, 602-326-8747. You can email us at edsmithspeaks@gmail.com and your email.
Javon.adams@gmail.com. And you can also go to easysportstalk.com and then click on contact, and you can reach us that way.
There you go. So baseball is going on and it's winding down, man. I love this time of year. It's sad that it's so swiftly over after that 162 game schedule, which I call the preseason. But the playoffs, man, are motoring. Playoffs are motoring ahead.
Man, those games take forever.
They do, mostly because, I mean, they're all long pitch, not a whole. I mean, there's more contact in the American League, right? And you know, the Astros put the kibosh on the Red Sox, got them out of there last night with a big game. By they got that left-handed hitter. I can't remember what his name was, but man, I would be so afraid to face him if I'm a pitcher. He's just been terrorizing them. But the Astros win that series 4-2, and that series was mostly what I thought. It was going to be a whole lot of hitting, a whole lot of balls flying out of the park, a lot of long counts, and like you mentioned, long games. And I'll say this much: my son is an Astros fan, so he's on cloud nine right now. I still cannot stand the Astros. I don't care what anybody says. Cheaters. I'm a former player. I played 9 years professional baseball. I have the right to say it. What they were doing, and I know there's something to getting advantages. You try to steal signs and stuff like that, and there's always a code of ethics, though. You know, you can peek in and see something, and we get a tip, or your pitchers, tipping his pitch and stuff. We get in there and share, but we're not banging on trash cans and we're looking at video and stuff like that. Still cannot stand the Astros. So they're getting into the World Series.
It's one of those things where when you look at how they're continuing to have success, you say, you didn't need it, man. You didn't need to do this to be able to do that. Or
when you cheated, you cheated.
Right.
That was probably the advantage. And, so they're in. I will say this, I love Dusty Baker. I've been a Dusty fan since he was a player. And I remember years ago when I was still playing ball, so we're talking mid-90s
he
or
played
so.
for the Dodgers.
Yeah. I remember bumping into Dusty at the club, man. And here's the thing.
Dusty seemed like a cool uncle.
Wow. Dusty was cool as a fan. And all those years back then, he still had that toothpick.
Listen,
I remember bumping into him and Dusty with the glasses on, the cool. Man, for a young man like something like Dusty Baker, he's like, "How you doing, young blood?"
Now, that is exactly what I thought of something.
Man, Dusty's cool as a fan.
I wonder when he started to adopt that too.
So I love Dusty. I hate the Astros. They're in the other series. Dodgers trying to fight back.
Yeah.
Talk about this series real quick here. You're not devout, but somewhat.
Through my grandmother, I root for the Dodgers.
They are managing to lose this game, meaning they're managing. They put so many restrictions on Robert. I hate how they've got the bullpen games where you're going to throw a guy out there to start only for an inning, and then we're going to figure out. Man, there's a reason why
I hate it.
That's all analytics, though. I hate it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you have starting pitchers. And there's a reason why these guys are just groomed to go out there and get you 5 or 6. Now, if you can get us 4.5, 4 1/3, that's a great – no, there's a reason why you have starting pitchers and you have relief pitchers. I hate how Dave Roberts has been hamstrung in terms of they've been basically dictated, this is how we're going to approach this because of the analytics from up top. I guarantee you got Scherzer, you got a couple of the Urias. Do you throw, and then the other guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. You got 3 starting pitchers. You should be able to throw them out there and say, let's go get it in a 7-game series, get you enough for. But now they got all this. This is a bullpen game where we got, and then you got pitchers, your starters throwing late in the game because we need him. Scherzer coming out the bullpen. It throws everything off. Yeah. And I just hate how they managed to put themselves in the spot. They came back the other night, which is good. They're in Atlanta for the next 2. Got to win 2 or you go home. Right. Have you been watching it all or?
Not really too much, no. But yeah, what I do know is that the offense for the Dodgers has been very hit and miss. More
hit or miss for sure.
More miss than hit. So the fact that they were, again, with that elimination game, and they were able to get enough runs to be able to, as the phrase always goes, stave off elimination, that was impressive there. But that has to be a frustrating thing when your hands, as you mentioned, you gave that analogy of your hands being tied behind your back, so to speak, because you're not able to manage your game as you would normally do. And that has to be frustrating. And then players know. And so I wonder how that impacts the leadership ability of a manager when players know, oh, you're not making the decisions, the analytics are, and so that means that everybody on top is making the ultimate decision as to who starts and how long they're in, or if I'm going to start tomorrow, as opposed to using the numbers for what they're worth and then going off of the what you see and what your gut tells you based off of experience.
That's a great question, and I wish I had more experience playing in this era. I can only go off of what I used to deal with. Manager, he was number uno. He was number one. He was one who made the decisions on who was playing hot, who I needed in this spot. It's time to bring this guy in. Now, as a player, you're probably guys are probably looking into the room where the computer is to see what the analytics say, rather than what Dave Roberts, what our manager, what his gut tells him. This is what we're going to do. Now, everybody's looking to see what the dude in the suit is going to tell us to do, or what the lineup should be, or the statistics say this guy, he's got to do the lineup twice, so we can't let him go through the lineup 3 times. We got to pull him out. All that does is, like I said, it hamstrings. I can imagine as a player, it's got to be very frustrating too.
Wouldn't it be frustrating for those GMs and those presidents that somebody comes in and says, so we know that you're focused on analytics, most definitely. So what we did was we had our IT folks come up with the program. So you're fired. And so we'll just go ahead and put this in there. So we're good now. And we know who to be able to go after in the offseason, because all we need to do is put the numbers in and the stuff will be there. So thanks, appreciate it.
Think about this. The St. Louis Cardinals just fired their manager who got to the playoffs, I think all 4 of his years or whatever it is, got to the playoffs because he had a disagreement in how analytics should be put into their game plan. Yeah. So the man who's managing the team, they had a 17-game winning streak. You know how hard that is to do in baseball, bro? Right. That's not a 4-game winning streak in the NFL. Yeah. That's 17 games on a baseball field where the ball can bounce any different way, and the different decisions he was probably making. Dudes are hot. This is what I'm going with. To heck with analytics. But we got you there, but then it's like, well, we want to go in a different direction. It's like, what direction you want to go?
I remember being in a management position, and I had I need to reach out to this guy too. But I had one of my employees, one person on my team, that would always question what I would ask, what I would say. And there were other managers that said, doesn't it bother you that insert person's name here always questions you? No, why would they do that? If I wasn't prepared for the answer, then I guess I would be. Or if sometimes when you ask a question, that brings up other opportunities or other options. So I want to be prepared. And so I think there's a place for numbers. So that's kind of the reason why I mentioned that. There's a place for looking at numbers, but there's also a place for being able to have dialogue with your manager to say, well, you're seeing X, Y, Z. This is what the numbers telling us. What are you seeing? Okay, I know that this is what the numbers telling you, but here's what I believe, what I know about this player. This is what I've seen. This is the work that they're putting in. These are the trends. So that's why I want to start this person and stuff like that, to be able to have them work together with more of an emphasis. I think you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I asked you, what's the percentage? I think you said 75-25 manager than analytics. And so,
Well, I'm rooting for the Dodgers to win because I want a rematch of 2017, and I want the Astros, the remaining ones, to have to go to LA to face them because that whole banging of the trash cans, that was the World Series that they stole from the Dodgers. I would love to see that rematch so they can get their retribution because they never received retribution seriously for what they did. They got it.
The Dodgers get back. If the Dodgers get back and it's the Dodgers, the black man, you're going to win. So I'm good.
Okay. Hey, we're going to take this break. We got Kevin Ledger coming up. Hope you stick around for this great man and what they're doing with for veterans. Be back after these messages, folks. Appreciate you hanging out with us.
You're okay.
Thank you, Corey.
Every weekday from 9 to 11, right here on KTUS AM 1060.
Easy Sports Talk would like to congratulate you on
car guy. I've always been passionate about cars. I've got several classic cars that we store them. And the opportunity just presented itself. There were 7 Meinekes up for sale as a package deal. The price was right, and it fit my passion. And so I took the plunge. It was actually about 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
And then this past June, I had the opportunity to purchase another Meineke that was open and running in North Phoenix. So that was my 8th location I added in June.
And it's just funny because, like I said, how we came to meet, and like I said, we haven't personally met yet, but your establishments, man. I've been going for 7+ years. I've gone through a couple managers. John was there first, and he might have been I think he was there up till not too long ago. And then, like I said, I met Doyle. You have great individuals working your place, and like I said, that's how like I said. Normally, you go into certain establishments and you care less one way or the other. Your people care about what they're doing, and that's what kind of drew me in and drew me to refer Javon to go over. And then we heard about this great event that you guys do for veterans on Veterans Day. Tell us how that came to be, how long it's been going on, and exactly some of the details about it.
Sure thing, and I guess first I should give a shout out to Doyle. All of my folks are great folks. I'm very passionate about running an ethical business. The automotive repair industry doesn't have the greatest reputation, and we're trying to turn that around. So I've got some great men and women working for me, and as a team, we're really trying to do it the right way. Meineke is part of Driven Brands. It's a franchise business, and Driven Brands for a long time has supported a military nonprofit called Operation Homefront. So the free oil change on Veterans Day is something that they've been doing, I don't know how long, maybe 15 years plus. So when I bought the business, and each franchisee can opt in or opt out of doing the free oil changes on Veterans Day, but when I bought the business, being an Air Force veteran myself, it was a no-brainer that we're going to continue the tradition.
So along those lines, I want to kind of go back to this. Do you find that the makeup of maybe a lot of your client base to be lifelong, been going to you for years, and a lot of them being comprised of military veterans as well?
Absolutely. We've got locations in the West Valley near Luke Air Force Base, but there's veterans and active duty that live all over the valley. So they do comprise a pretty large percentage of our repeat customers, and we definitely try to build loyal customers for life. We offer year-round discounts for active duty as well as veteran military on any repairs or even basic maintenance. But the Veterans Day event is really a special one. It's really my favorite day of the year because we do nothing but serve those who serve and focus on them. And, the stories we get to hear and the camaraderie, the brotherhood, between even branches. Oftentimes, military members who have never met before get to meet for the first time in one of our stores and build great relationships. So that's one of the reasons we do that.
And I can honestly say that it was very cool in terms of mentioning Doyle again, that he took a look at a vehicle that was contemplating purchasing for my son. And so he was very candid. He was very honest. He took the time to be able to do that. And so that goes a long way, as you mentioned, with sometimes the not always great reputation between mechanics and the public. But tell us a little bit about, again, the Veterans Day event, what it all entails. So please go over that again for us.
Absolutely. So, again, we're open from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. We do not do appointments on this date. It is a first-come, first-served procedure. And in addition to my 8 shops, there are 5 other shops, Meinekes in the valley, that will be participating. There's 2 out in Mesa. There's 1 kind of Central Phoenix, 7th Street in Glendale, 1 up in Anthem, and 1 in Boulder. So those are the ones I don't own. There's also 3 down in Tucson and 1 in Flagstaff that will be participating. My 8 are spread all over the valley from Chandler all the way to Scottsdale, to Phoenix, to Glendale, to Peoria. So, the way it works is that on our synthetic blend oil change, which is normally a $39.95 value, that includes up to 5 quarts of oil, an oil filter, a basic safety inspection. We'll also top off fluids, do a tire pressure check, and make sure the car is safe and good to go. That will be absolutely free to active duty and military veterans who present some proof of ID. If the car that they're driving requires a high mileage oil or a full synthetic oil, then we'll take that $39.95 and apply it to the price of one of those oil changes. So it brings a full synthetic oil change, which is normally just $79.95. Obviously, it brings it down to just $40.
And one of the great things one of the great things is this is absolutely free to veterans and active military. So that's the one thing I want to stress. And I was joking with Javon as we started talking about the event last week, Kevin. I was like, if like when Dunkin' Donuts, they do the free coffee days and stuff like that. I mean, I'm first in line. This is for veterans. They should, and one of the things we want to do is make sure, Javon always has to say, he says, tell a friend to tell a friend. For our listeners out there, if you're not a veteran, if you're not in the military, make sure you reach out to someone that might not be listening to this right now. Let them know. This is a great thing that Kevin and Meineke are doing. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about, Kevin, tell us about, but one of the things I want to remind, we're going to be tweeting all the locations out. So we're going to, on Facebook, we're going to get them out there, and we're going to tweet the address to all the locations. I got that list from you. Tell everybody a little bit about Operation Homefront. Kevin, what you guys do in terms of trying to assist military active members.
Absolutely. So Operation Homefront is a nonprofit organization, Driven Brands, which is our parent company, as a franchisor, also owns a number of other brands, Mako, Take 5 Oil Change, and quite a few others. And so the Driven Brands is a charitable foundation. The only nonprofit that they support is Operation Homefront. And they do that because Operation Homefront is probably one of the best veterans organizations you've never heard of. That's because they spend literally $0 on advertising. More than 91 cents of every dollar goes directly to veteran support. What they really specialize in is critical financial assistance, and mainly on housing. Whether somebody, a veteran family is about to lose their place, where they live, whether it's a mortgage payment or rent payment, that's where they really specialize. They want to keep, veterans and active duty military from being home. So the majority of their funding, that they raise in terms of donations, things like that, goes directly to financial assistance for housing and food and things like that. So, in the automotive space, they're not as well versed, and that's where we're stepping in. One of the things we're doing this year, in addition to the free oil changes, is we have identified several veterans who are struggling to pay bills, and their cars are in need of a lot of repair. I've partnered with several of my vendors, and we're going to be doing some complete vehicle makeovers, so making the car safe, reliable.
Awesome.
Even partnering with some of the Makos here in town to get the cars painted. So we're really excited about adding that extra element and really surprising a couple of 3 veterans with a full vehicle makeover.
That's great work, Kevin. And we just want to remind everybody, there is the website you can visit. It's operationhomefront.org. That's for veterans in need. And how else can, anybody out there contact you, Kevin, to find out, about everything you guys are doing?
Certainly. Absolutely. Just when you send out the list of locations, just visit any of our websites or call any of our shops. All of my management team is very well versed on this event, and look forward to it every year, so they can give you any additional information, anything specific to their store that you might need to know.
We're going to blast everything out, and I'm telling Kevin, and we're honored to be assisting you in this, and I hope everybody listening, like I said, tell a friend to tell a friend if you're not active or veteran, military, and also thank you for your service, Kevin. I didn't know you were a veteran yourself, and leading in, I want to know what kind of sports fan are you?
Well, I'm a huge Suns fan.
Okay.
All of the Cardinals is my favorite football team is the Vikings, though. Don't ask me why. That's a long story. But I like all the sports. And personally, I like golf, and I love to swim ski.
Okay. Well, you're part of the Easy Sports Talk family now, so we're going to support everything you do. And can't thank you enough for joining us. And we're going to continue to spread the word about the great things you're doing, man. We appreciate you joining us.
All right, thank you. And thanks for having me on.
You got it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
That was Kevin Ledger. He owns 8 of the Meinekes out here in the Valley. We're going to get all the locations out, so you'll know where to go on Veterans Day from 7:30 to 6 p.m. that day. You just have to check in by 6 if you're military, show proof of service, and they'll get you a free standard oil change if you need anything additional. Obviously, we talked about the discount, and then we're also going to promote everything they're doing with Operation Homefront as well. So it's good. This is part of our getting back into the mission of this show. We've been indoors for a long time now because of COVID and my back and stuff like that. We're now going to get back to doing what we normally do, I think, right?
I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It's funny that you mentioned that because the mission stays the same. Plans change. The plans that we had in terms of to be out and about, those things that COVID hits, and so we had to adjust. So we've been here in the palatial studios here. I love walking through the door. I'm used to it now. But it's the plans can change, and you have to be flexible with change.
Yeah.
But the mission remains the same.
I'm looking forward to this. We're going to be doing the live remote from the Peoria location, which is right at 91st and Bell. I think we'll get the address out there for that, but that'll be on November 6th. And then November 11th is the actual date of the event for
active
and retired. Get your ID out and just go there. And like I said, have some fun. It can be food, it can be drink, and giveaways at some of the locations. Should be a lot of fun, man.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, and once again, thank you, Kevin, for joining us. So, one more segment coming up. To wrap things up. It's been a pretty good show, man.
I'm in the building. It's been a good show. I'm in the building.
Sometimes you bring it. So, hey, we're going to take this break, go wrap things up, and then want to thank Corey for being on with this second hour here. So we'll be back to wrap things up. Hope you're having a great Saturday so far, folks.
Check out the Dead Guy Show, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060.
With over 11 years of serving the Valley, Majestic Services is who you should call for your pressure washing and window cleaning.
So that made me think of something.
Huh?
Go ahead.
No, I was just sending Kevin up.
Even handyman services and more. Majestic Services has you covered. Call 602-614-9401 today for free, no obligation quote. Commercial or residential, call Majestic Services or visit them at majesticservices.net. Majestic Services, let us do your dirty work. 602
And welcome back. Final segment of the Easy Sports Talk Show. This will be a quick one, but we extended the last segment. Once again, I want to thank Kevin Ledger, owner of 8 of the Meineke shops out here in the Valley. Looking forward to that event on April remote on November 6th. And I think you just heard the piece. We're going to be doing the remote at E3 Cryo on the 20th of November, putting some information together for that one as well. But and as I mentioned in a little spot we just did, I've been doing cryo since my back surgery in May. And I'm joking with you all the time, Javon, but you are getting into the crowd because when we do the remote, we get you in there so you can experience that minus 175. And I've gone deeper than 175. I've actually gone closer to almost 200 degrees because they can adjust.
Can help me with some of this running? Shoot.
Well, some of the things, man, I'm telling you, I mean, you feel like imagine getting out of because it's only 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But when you go down that low and they get you there, bro, it like almost shocks your system, and that's part of what it's supposed to do. But it's for pain management, reducing inflammation. It's because back in the day we used to get in the cold tub, big ice bucket. We used to sit in there for 15, 20 minutes. That's nothing compared to this crowd.
Okay.
Crowd will touch your soul.
We're gonna scared.
No, it's not to be scared, man. I'm telling you, I'm trying to get your mind right.
Not to be scared, man.
Trying to get your mind right because you got to be ready for this. I remember the first time I did it. So, but yeah, if you've ever wondered, like for anybody that's dealing with pain, sore joints, this inflammation, this will help. And the other thing, you want to educate everybody on the different services because E3 has so many different things. Okay. Blood, for different things for vitamin B shots. So we're gonna get.
I think they had something on there about boosting metabolism,
weight loss, you name it. These are things that we want to get out there for E3 Cryo and what they do and what they've been doing for me so far. So keep an eye out. But yeah, come on out and join us on the 20th. Put it on your calendar. Come see because we're gonna have food trucks and everything. I think even Hans said he might come out with coffee. And that right now we're planning on a 4-hour show that day. So we're gonna be on from. Bob said, "Well, you are."
Right around this time, I said, "All right, man, are you kidding? I'm not. No, that's gonna be fun, man. That's gonna be fun."
And the reason we're extending it because we want to do more of the sports that day. I'm gonna try to get some of my NFL alumni to come out, maybe have them on and talk about some of the things that they're up to. But it's at 13615 North 30th Ave in Phoenix. It's basically at 35th Avenue and Thunderbird. That's right there, 35th Avenue and Thunderbird. So keep that in mind. So
we'll be creating events for both of those.
With only a few minutes left, want to give us RIP. We lost Colin Powell the other day at the age of 84, and it was from COVID complications, but he also had some cancer issues. But that one kind of came out of nowhere because I didn't even know he was really sick. He's a private man, but you think about Colin Powell and all the presidents and different administrations he worked with, and not a one person has a bad thing to say about this man. And when you're in politics, you have a clean record like Mr. Colin Powell, General Colin Powell. That's saying something. So that was a sad loss.
It is. He was even thinking of contemplating running at one time.
Yeah,
I think he might have been there. If he had run before Obama did, then whatever. But I think he might have been able to win. He was going to run on the Republican ticket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, whatever.
Sad to see that. Yeah.
Plans are good plans. I don't care the side of the aisle you're on.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Colin Powell. 84. When you get to 84, man. I mean, that's a blessed life, but nowadays I guess everybody's expecting to live to be 100. But
people say
no, that still is a sad one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. We lost somebody else too, but who knows? Like I said, so what you got going to finish the weekend now, man?
I'm going as soon as I'm done here. I think I'm gonna go to the White Tank Mountains and get some miles in, and then the wife and I, and maybe our youngest, will tag along with us to go eat a little bit of Mexican.
You gotta give a shout out to your friend who runs the Black Men Run.
Yeah,
he's leaving out of town, or
he's Rafael Ortiz. He's gonna be. I missed the last run. I didn't get a chance. It's sometimes difficult to make it out to the bi-weekly runs over there at Tippytown. But so he's going to be moving out of the valley, and so I wanted to get him on that week that we ended up taking off. We had some but just to say thank you to him because he's been an excellent ambassador for Black Men Run and Black Men Phoenix, and so just congratulations to him and continued success to him and his wife and his lovely family.
I got a suggestion here with Rafael leaving. it's not like Black Men Run's going to just up and.
Oh no, they
have-
listed another captain.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I would vote for you to be.
No, because I can't
You
make it
can't
to a lot of those events.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's the big thing.
Gotcha.
It's not just about sending the stuff out and being there.
You got to get out there and run.
You got to be there too.
Okay.
That's cool. I mean, I'm looking to and I will become more active.
Why don't we start our own chapter called Black Men Walk Real Fast? I'll go. I can't run right now, but maybe at some point I'll be able to walk real fast.
Hey, there's this thing that says "No man left behind." That's part of the mantra, and you'll see some of the things in certain magazines, like a Runner's World, or I think they were on Good Morning America. There was this past week, and so there's the Mission is Strong. A couple of people from Black Men Run were at the Boston Marathon a couple of weeks ago, and so. That is one of my goals to get to that's one of the things that we need to do is go to one of these destination marathons and runs and just make it work somehow. So we there and you just be, go and have some fun afterwards.
So I'm gonna be in touch with Bob so we can maybe set something up there soon.
Hey,
but before we get out of here, I want to thank all of our partners and sponsors. You know who you are. We'll go down the list next week as we always do. But especially point out Meineke of Arizona. We'll be getting that on here soon for the remote on the 6th, and then Veterans Day is on the 11th. Make sure you tell a friend if you're not a veteran or active military, so you can go get your free oil change. Want to give a shout out to E3 Cryo as well, E3 Cryo and Wellness. And then want to give a special shout out to Aaron and to Corey behind the glass for hour 2 for us too. Welcome to the family, Corey. We appreciate you and the great work that you guys did for us today, always. So.
Hey, so do you have your channels already picked out? When do you know the channels?
For the games?
Yeah, because for those who are listening and those who are watching, a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that Ed said that, I'm ready to go. I got my channels up. And so before I left the crib, I looked and he got the
grease board
up there with everything, man. So do you already have the channels?
Not today. I do it on Saturday.
All right.
To get all the channels lined up for the game, so I know which ones to flip back and forth with the 2 TV setup in there. So, hey, we're gonna get out of here. Hope you have a great finish to your weekend, folks, wherever you might be. Appreciate you hanging out with Easy and Jay on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060, as well as KSLX HD channel 200.7. I'm gonna be getting a whole lot of football in. Baseball today too, and that's an early game. Dodgers are 2:00 out here, but I'm gonna get some baseball in. Got a whole lot of football tomorrow. Still got to figure out what I'm gonna eat, but we'll get down to that. So, so until next week, we'll be back and we'll got to believe in everything. Have a great weekend, folks. Till next week, be easy out there.
You can. And go out to that jlovemusic.com, JLUVmusic.com. Get some running motivation.
All right, y'all clear?
Thank you.